Welcome back, everybody. I wanted to talk about dust control. And I think for most people, you start out with zero concern for dust control, no matter what you're doing. You know, there's always going to be those people who start out in some kind of shop or a factory, and obviously the first thing you talk about is dust control. But most people don't do that. Most people have other jobs, or maybe the way I started, I was a carpenter, I was a framing carpenter, and then and there was no dust control in framing. Might not be. But I would come home, and eventually in my life, I would add a tool, and you know, you make dust, especially table saw, it blows dust out. Well, I started leaning a bucket behind the table saw, and then I even rigged up a bucket straight forward where, and I'll show some pictures. I've got a pretty decent dust control setup, which is purely static. There's no equipment involved. It's just a trash can that accepts the dust that's being blown out. You've seen bags that attach to table saws. Those are like beginning steps. Eventually, in my outdoor shop, I have a shop vac that's hooked up to the table saw and also the miter saw, and it's got a diverter switch. And that was a great step because there's so much dust. You shouldn't breathe it. Of course not. Of course not. It's unhealthy. You get to cutting and you're dusty and it's all over your body and you're sneezing and it's disgusting. But it's not good for you. It's going into your lungs. Some people kind of freak out about that. Maybe rightly so. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I don't worry too much. I just kind of blow it off and then I sneeze a lot. But I'm sure, you know, I used to smoke a lot too. And of course you shouldn't do that, but I did it and I got through it, and hopefully I'll live to be 116. But around here, dust control comes at times, when there's time to add it. One thing, I have my little bitty drill press, and I also have, I'm not showing it right now, but my little portable joiner. It's not much bigger than this, and these are a few items that I place on this table, and I have a connection here. Can you see that connection? I have the connection here, and I have just some PVC connecting all the way to here, and it's very convenient. And as I drill, it takes the dust away. It's more so convenience here. It's not, I don't think this dust is getting in my lungs, but it's getting in the work, and the chips or whatever that's left over, it interferes with the next piece coming in, hitting the stop block. So that's one thing about dust control. I have this one that hooks up directly to this shop vac, and I have that on a three-way switch. Can you even see that? I have a three-way receptacle that I plug into the vacuum switch where I could put 3 tools on this receptacle, and when I trigger either of the tools, the vacuum automatically comes on. I think that's pretty clever. One of those tools, it could be any tool. When I turn the drill on, there's the vacuum. You can feel it. Oh, it's not connected. You can't feel it. When it's connected, turn the drill on, the vacuum automatically comes on and removes the dust or the debris that comes from the drill. And let me get this out of the way. Same thing with the joiner. For me, in my situation, I put the joiner here, I connect the vacuum, I plug it into this three-way receptacle that's on the vacuum switch. When I fire up the joiner, it automatically controls the dust, removes the dust. And that too, I'm not worried about joiner shavings getting in my throat or my lungs, but the joiner shavings completely block up the joiner. And next thing you know, it's coming out everywhere and it's a crazy mess. Of course, it's safer to get them out, but it's also better work practicality to get them out so that you can continue working. The third tool I have let me clean that off a bit, is my bandsaw. It's also on this three-way receptacle. The bandsaw it's also connected to the 4-inch dust collection, which comes over here into the Oneida Dust Deputy, goes down into a big trash can, and the clean air goes outside of the garage. I've got another port here that I can drop down for the router table, and then I can put it around and drop it down for the oscillating belt sander on the 4-inch. So the 4-inch takes care of a few things here. Also, this same piece, what do they call it? A quick connect. It connects into my surface planer. So in my small shop, this one little hose gets to 3 tools very conveniently. And then it's got an extension that comes over here. It gets to a homemade little floor sweep I have, but it also runs to the bottom of the bandsaw. A few triangles left over. And that's also a quick disconnect. And it just kind of gets the residue. This is another thing I need to work on. I bought it used, and it came with the little thing here that kind of floats in the side near the blade. I saw, if I could think of his name, I'll include his name. Someone Fine Furniture. Seems like a super nice guy. I just can't think of his name. He's very clever, very smart with the way he tackles things. He had a nice shroud with magnets that he hooked up. I want to do something very similar to what he did. I think I have the same bandsaw as him, and it doesn't come with great dust control. But anyway, between this mediocre thing and the 4-inch thing, I get a lot on the table, and it's not the worst thing in the world. But I'd rather not have all that on the table. What I got into today, I'm making more templates, 1/4-inch MDF templates. I start with ripping down to 3.5 out on the table saw. Outside, I put a miter on it, and then I bring it into here with my pattern, and I do 7 at a time. I pass them through the bandsaw first, a little clear of the pattern, and then I bring it over to the router table, and I just ran a little clip. You saw the dust blowing everywhere, and then it dawned on me. And I've been thinking about this for a while, because this is an area, it's not just an inconvenience, but it's a mess. It's MDF dust blowing everywhere. I know I'm breathing it, I know I'm sneezing it, and I know it's not good for me. And then it's also a mess because I got to clean everything, because it goes everywhere. Even though the blade's turning in that direction, it kind of goes in this direction, but it's kind of everywhere. And I got to thinking, after I made a few passes today of doing this, and it's blowing dust everywhere, I got to thinking, I had some scraps of shiplap, and I thought, this is always here. It's on a 2x8, and it drops in. I've got a receiver here. It drops in. It's not going anywhere. It's always going to be there. So I was thinking, what if I had something that had like a hole cut around it that fit tightly around here? And then what if it had like a wall on it over here, and then another wall on it over here? And then the more I looked at that, and the more I thought about that, if the one piece was kind of here, let me do it like this. If that was more like that, and then if this piece was kind of like this, which wouldn't be that long, it would only be about this long to catch whatever blows in this direction. I got to thinking, that's almost square. It could easily be square. Why don't we make it square? Something like that, even if it's like that and like that. I thought, why don't we make it square? So I took some of this shiplap. I just had extra shiplap from a job. I ripped it down to where it's just a little taller than here. I have a piece here, I have a piece in the center, and then I have a piece here. And I figured out those angles, especially knowing that this is 90 degrees between this one and this one. I looked at the difference here, and it was like 4 inches and 3 inches on the framing square. So I brought it over here, 3 inches and 4 inches. And then I laid this. So what is this angle and what is this angle? And that determined what these miters should be. So I'm not going to go through the whole process of making it. But here's what I came up with. And even with that offset in the top for the shiplap, I put 1/4 inch plywood in there. And I've got miters that are clean. I use staples that are not clean because it's not a convenient place to get staples in there. I'm not worried about that at all. But I just got to get it over there, over the hole. It just fits in there over the hole. It slides off and up. I could drop it on the table and then just get it over the hole. And it sits there loosely. It's okay if it's loose. It moves around, that's okay. And I put a little curvature in it. When I first made it, I had a larger curve, which I thought looked more presentable. Then I determined after one pass, it was kind of like this. And even though there was a couple things, my hold down clamp was getting close to the edge, and secondly, I didn't have a good view of the template hitting the bearing. So I recut it to where I have a full view of the bearing, and it still holds it, and I don't have to clamp it, I don't have to do anything, I just rest it there. Let me start all over, and let me clear the dust. I'm just going to drop this in place, just get it over the hole right there. Good enough, perfect. You can see where I left off earlier. I just did a sample to do this area to show you where the dust is going. I'm going to pick it up from here and go the rest of the way. Look at that. How nice is that? Just a little bit of residue is all. It didn't go everywhere. It controlled it very well. And I found out that if I bump this a little, that's okay. It's not hurting anything. If I hit it with the clamp, that's okay. It's still going to rest. It's not going to fall. It's not going to break. It doesn't. If I had it clamped, that might interfere with my workpiece. If I'm making my turn and I bump it here, that's okay. I can do that, and I could, anyway. And when I put other pieces in here, we might have a different learning curve. But for this piece so far, I'm very happy with that. And then I could put this on a shelf next to 1,000 other things that I put on the shelf. Maybe just like that. I'll put it right there. But that's one more way I can help myself be healthier, even though I'm not a health nut, but I don't want to breathe and choke and sneeze all day long. But I'm not blind to the fact that that's healthier. It's safer. I want to be safe. And at the same time, I want to limit the cleanup in my shop. There's always going to be some cleanup. And when I do a lot of routing, I like to go outside. I have the luxury of going outside to actually make a little bit of a mess. And routing makes a bit of a mess. And instead of coming in here where it just creates more of a mess inside the garage. Anyway, thanks for checking that out. I'm happy to share this. I'm happy that I came up with this. This is going to benefit me for a long time in the future. It may get modified, but it's a simple I didn't want to do something permanent because my dust control is not permanent. It moves from machine to machine. So when I'm using this machine, now I have a solution to help control the dust, as they say. I hope it helps you. Hopefully, you have some little tricks like this up your sleeve. I'd like to hear about them. What are you doing that you've never heard of? I've never heard of anybody doing this. What are you doing that no one's ever heard of to control dust, to make things safer, and to make your workplace a little easier to work in? Because everybody knows you once you sweep it up. Anyway, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for checking it out, and looking forward to more videos this year. Have a wonderful year and a great rest of your day. Thank you.